This spoiled banker's daughter laughed at Judge Caprio. 10 seconds later, the entire courtroom heard the words, "Miss Kline, the charges against you carry a maximum sentence of 10 years in prison." And suddenly, nobody was laughing. The doors to Providence Municipal Court opened at 9:59 a.m. A young woman in designer heels clicked across the marble floor like it was a runway, not a courthouse. Sabrina Kline, 22 years old. Perfect hair, expensive perfume, phone in her hand, sunglasses still on. She didn't sit. She lounged. She didn't look nervous. She looked bored. Miss Reyes, the clerk, called the case. 2025 CR 7719, State vs. Sabrina Elise Kline. Sabrina blew a bubble with her gum and snapped it. "That's me," she said loudly. "Can we hurry? I have a blowout appointment at noon." A ripple of disbelief moved through the gallery. Officer D'Angelo watched from the side. The prosecutor riffled through a very thick file. Somewhere in the second row, a gray-haired man with a cane shifted uncomfortably. The bailiff called, "All rise." Everyone stood as Judge Frank Caprio entered and took the bench. Everyone, except Sabrina. She stayed seated, scrolling her phone, smirking. Caprio's eyes flicked to her. "Calm, quiet, dangerous. Miss Kline," he said. "This is a courtroom, not a lounge. Stand up." She laughed a bright, mocking sound that bounced off the wooden walls. "You're really going to make this a thing," she said. "Relax, Judge. My father's bank pays more in taxes than this entire courtroom costs to run. We are on the same team." Miss Reyes stopped typing. Officer D'Angelo straightened. A spectator whispered, "Oh, no." Sabrina tossed her hair and added, "Let's just do the fine. Daddy already spoke to someone. I'm not doing community theater with poor people." The silence that followed was heavy. Then Judge Caprio, voice low and precise, said, "Miss Kline, the charges you are facing: multiple counts of reckless endangerment, leaving the scene, attempted bribery, and contempt of court carry a maximum sentence of 10 years in prison." Her smirk shattered, her fingers tightened around her phone. For the first time since she walked in, she blinked. "Before we go on, if you believe nitrogen monoxide one should be above the law, no matter how rich their parents are, hit subscribe to support justice-centered stories like this." Sabrina's attorney, a sleek woman in a charcoal suit named Olivia Trent, rose. "Your Honor, my client is here prepared to." Caprio raised one finger. "Not yet, counsel." He looked at the clerk. Miss Reyes read the charges into the record. Miss Reyes stood, eyes on her screen. Case 2025 CR 7719, State vs. Sabrina Elise Kline. Charges: reckless endangerment of a pedestrian in a crosswalk, leaving the scene of an incident without rendering aid, attempted bribery of a law enforcement officer, disorderly conduct in prior court appearance. Contempt of court for failure to comply with instructions. Sabrina sighed dramatically. "Can we not make it sound like a Netflix documentary? I didn't hit anybody. I missed him." "You're welcome." The gray-haired man in the second row lowered his eyes. Caprio turned to him briefly, then back to Sabrina. "Miss Kline, do you understand these charges?" "Sure," she said. "You're mad I'm rich and late." The prosecutor, Daniel Ortiz, stood. "Your Honor, the state is prepared to present security footage, body cam audio, and a series of text messages that strongly suggest Miss Kline believed her family's money would shield her from consequences." Sabrina scoffed. "Believed? That's adorable." "It does." Caprio leaned back slightly, folding his hands. "We'll see," he said. "Play the footage." Caprio ordered. The courtroom monitor flickered on. Timestamp: 4:31 p.m., October 4, 2025. Location: Westminster and Union, Providence. A crosswalk. Traffic slowing for a red light. A silver BMW M4 roars into frame, cutting around a line of stopped cars. The crosswalk light changes to walk. An elderly man with a cane, Alan Rosario, 76, steps off the curb. The BMW blasts through the crosswalk, missing him by inches. The rush of air spins him halfway around. He stumbles, nearly falls. The car never brakes, never slows, never signals. It accelerates out of frame. The video freezes on Alan's shocked face. The room is silent. Caprio's voice is calm. "Miss Kline, is that your car?" "Yes," she said. "You can tell because it's the only one that doesn't look like it came from a yard sale." "And is that you driving?" She shrugged. "My hairstylist says I shouldn't admit to anything on camera." Olivia Trent touched her arm sharply. "Miss Kline." Caprio didn't raise his voice. "Is that you driving?" He repeated. Sabrina rolled her eyes. Obviously. Whatever, Caprio echoed. He let the words sit there, ugly and small, in the air between them. Miss Reyes, Caprio said. The file indicates a body cam recording from the responding officer. Yes, Your Honor. Officer Harris's audio, timestamped for minutes after the incident. Play it. Static. Then street noise. Officer Harris. Mom, do you know why I stopped you? Sabrina's voice, crisp, annoyed. Because you're bored. Look, I have somewhere to be. Officer Harris. You drove through a crosswalk while the signal was red. You nearly hit a pedestrian. Sabrina. But I didn't, so we're done. Show me the ticket. My dad will have his assistant pay it. Officer Harris. Ma'am, that's not how this works. There's the sound of a purse zipper. Sabrina again. How does this work then? Paper rustling. What if I give you $2,000 right now, cash, and you forget the pedestrian LARPing as a speed bump? A collective gasp filled the courtroom. Officer Harris. Mom, attempting to pay me to ignore a violation is bribery. I'm turning my camera to my badge so this is clear. Sabrina. Oh my God, relax. It's a tip. Don't poor people like tips. The audio cut off. Caprio's jaw tightened. He looked at her carefully, like a surgeon inspecting an infection. Miss Kline, he said, do you dispute that this is your voice? She flicked her nails. I dispute how sensitive everyone is being. If you've ever seen someone act like money makes them untouchable, tap subscribe right now so more people see what real accountability can look like. Miss Reyes scrolled. Your Honor, there's also a notation from a prior scheduled hearing 2 weeks ago. Caprio nodded. Read it. Defendant failed to appear on time. When contacted by phone, she stated, and I quote, tell the judge this is cute, but I don't stand in lines. Push me to the top, or I'll have my father call the mayor. The gallery murmured. Sabrina smirked. And here I am. See. It worked. Caprio picked up a sheet from the file. There's also a voicemail, allegedly from Ward and Kline Financial Group's legal office, left with this court administrator. Play it. A smooth male voice came through the speakers. This message is for the Providence Municipal Court. Regarding case 2025 CR 7719, this is Ward and Kline Financial Group. We're calling on behalf of Richard Kline concerning his daughter's minor traffic matter. Mr. Kline requests that this case be handled administratively and closed without formal hearing. We trust the court will recognize the burden of unnecessary proceedings on a family with substantial civic contributions. The voicemail ended. Caprio tilted his head. Mr. Ortiz, did the state verify this call? Yes, Your Honor. The number matches Ward and Kline's main office. Sabrina smirked, whispering under her breath. Told you. Caprio heard it. Miss Kline, he said slowly. In this courtroom, influence is documented, not obeyed. The prosecutor lifted another document. Your Honor, one more item. A letter was submitted by email to the clerk's office, appearing to be from the Rhode Island Department of Public Safety, recommending dismissal of this case in the interest of maintaining a cooperative relationship with key financial stakeholders. Caprio's eyes narrowed. Is it authentic? No, Your Honor. We spoke to the department. It is a forgery. The letterhead and footer contain an outdated slogan that hasn't been used in 12 years. Miss Reyes added. The metadata also shows it was created on a laptop registered to Sabrina Elise Kline. The room froze. Sabrina sputtered. Okay, that's ridiculous. My assistant uses my laptop all the time. I don't write letters. I send voice notes. Caprio looked at her. Miss Kline, forging a state document to influence a case is a serious offense. She shrugged. So is wearing that tie. But here we are. Olivia Trent closed her eyes briefly in disbelief. Officer D'Angelo stepped toward the second row. Mr. Rosario. The elderly man with the cane stood slowly. Alan Rosario, 76, retired math teacher, widower. He walked to the stand, hand trembling as he took the oath. Mr. Rosario, Caprio said gently. Take your time. Alan nodded. Double quote, sir. Can you tell the court what happened that day? Alan cleared his throat. I waited for the light to change. The little man came on, so I stepped off. He swallowed. I looked both ways like I've taught my grandkids. The cars were stopped. Then I heard an engine. Very loud. I turned and there she was. He gestured slightly toward Sabrina. Her car. It was already in the crosswalk. I tried to move faster, but these legs, he tapped his cane. They don't listen like they used to. The car missed me, but it pulled the wine right off my jacket. I thought, this is it. This is how I go. He blinked hard. She never looked at me. never rolled down the window. I almost fell. A stranger helped me to the sidewalk. And the car just kept going. Sabrina whispered, so dramatic, under her breath. Alan heard. He turned his tired eyes to her. I taught in this city for 42 years, he said quietly. I never thought the scariest part of my day at 76 would be crossing the street. Caprio's voice was soft but sharp. Mr. Rosario, what would you like this court to do? Alan hesitated. I don't want her locked in a cell for 10 years, Your Honor. That doesn't fix my knees or calm my heart. I just want her to understand that people like me exist. People who move slower. People who still deserve to get home. He looked down at his hands. I want her to see us. Caprio turned back to Sabrina. Stand, he said. She stood, arms crossed. Mask of annoyance back on her face, but her breathing faster now. Look at Mr. Rosario, Caprio said. She stared at the floor. Look at him. She jerked her eyes up, jaw tightening. That man, Caprio said, is not a speed bump. He is not an inconvenience. He is not a piece of scenery you race past on your way to an appointment. He is a human being who has walked on this earth more than 3 times as long as you have. Sabrina rolled her eyes. Are we doing the sermon part now? The air in the room snapped. Caprio single quotes as gaze hardened. Miss Kline, he said softly. The combination of your charges: reckless endangerment, leaving the scene, attempted bribery, contempt, and the forgery this court has now seen carry a maximum possible sentence of 10 years in state prison. Her face drained of color. 10 years, she whispered. 10, Caprio repeated. Years of your 20s in a cell, away from your parties, your salons, your vacations, your assistants, your father's boardrooms. She swallowed. My dad will never let that happen. This court, Caprio said, does not take instructions from your father's portfolio. He let silence sit. 5 seconds. 7. 10. Those 10 seconds felt longer than 10 years. Then Caprio leaned forward. I am not going to send you to prison today. Sabrina sagged in relief. Grin fought its way back onto her face. I knew it, she muttered. But, Caprio continued, I am also not going to let you leave here unchanged. Mercy, Miss Kline, is not a coupon. It is not a discount. It is an investment. And this court expects a return. He opened his notebook. Here is your sentence. Listen very carefully. First, Caprio said, you will complete 400 hours of community service with the Providence Senior Support and Mobility Initiative. You will push wheelchairs, carry groceries, deliver meals, and help people like Mr. Rosario cross the same streets you treated as your personal racetrack. Second, you will shadow Mr. Rosario for 1 full Saturday every month for the next year if he agrees. You will accompany him on errands, to the pharmacy, to the park. You will learn what the world looks like at his walking speed. Third, you will complete a driver responsibility and pedestrian safety certification program and retake your road test. Until you pass, your license will remain suspended. Fourth, you will create a short documentary titled Slow Down. Lives Are Walking in cooperation with the city and senior advocacy groups. It will be shown in high school driver education classes throughout Rhode Island. You will appear in it. You will describe your own conduct without excuses. Fifth, you will write a 5,000-word reflection titled Privilege is Not Permission, addressing your attempted bribe, the forged letter, and your previous contempt for this process. It will be submitted to this court and to your father, who, whether he intended to or not, taught you that money can fix everything. Sixth, you will personally apologize to Officer Harris for attempting to bribe him, and that apology will be recorded for training purposes. Seventh, Ward and Kline Financial Group will be invited but not ordered to create a public fund supporting pedestrian safety and senior transportation. If they decline, this court will note that on the record. If they accept, you will administer it, not as a hobby, but as work. Sabrina stared at him, stunned. That's insane, she finally managed. You can't force my dad. You're correct, Caprio said. I can't force your father, but I can require your service. And I can record who did and did not care enough to step up. He set his pen down. If you complete all of this with integrity, I will not impose prison time. If you do not, I will revisit the full sentencing range. Do you understand? Sabrina's throat worked. I understand, she whispered. Good, Caprio said. Because this is the last time you will laugh in this courtroom at another person's fear. Week 1, defendant arrived 18 minutes late, complained about smell of cafeteria, had phone confiscated twice, Completed 2 of 6 assigned tasks. Week 3. Arrived on time. Helped carry grocery bags for 6 seniors. Rolled eyes frequently but complied with instructions. Week 5. Assisted Mr. Rosario with pharmacy visit. Remained silent for most of day. Noted as unusually thoughtful by volunteer. Coordinator. Week 8. Requested to stay an extra hour to help set up chairs for senior movie night. Week 12. Took initiative to call taxi service for a client whose ride was late. Stayed until client was safely home. Mr. Rosario's secondary note, read by Miss Reyes. At first she was all sighs and eye rolls. But last Saturday, she walked half a block ahead, then stopped, looked back, and came back to my side. She said, "I'm sorry, Mr. Rosario. I keep forgetting you don't walk like me." That's the first time she apologized without a judge in the room. In January, Sabrina's short film submission arrived at the court. Title card, slow down, lives are walking. Runtime, 4 minutes, 52 seconds. Opening shot, security camera footage of her BMW flying through the crosswalk, frozen an inch from Mr. Rosario's face. Narration her own voice. "This is the moment I almost turned a man into a statistic because I was late to a hair appointment." The film shows seniors navigating icy sidewalks, waiting at crosswalks, gripping canes. It cuts between their faces and cars rushing past. Sabrina appears on screen, no makeup, hair in a simple ponytail. "I used to think pedestrian signs were suggestions," she says. "I used to think being in a hurry made me more important. I used to think my last name meant I could buy my way out of anything. I was wrong about all of that." The film ends with Mr. Rosario taking her arm as they cross a street together, slowly. Text on screen, "Slow down, lives are walking." The court approves the film for use in driver education programs statewide. Sabrina returns to court for final review. She walks indifferently now. No sunglasses, no phone, no gum. She stands when the bailiff says, "All rise." Caprio takes the bench. Case 2025 CR 7719. Return hearing, Miss Reyes calls. "Miss Kline," Caprio says. "Did you complete all terms?" "Yes, Your Honor," she says quietly. "All for 100 hours. The documentary, the reflection essay, the apologies, the driver course, the fund administration." "Miss Reyes?" Caprio asks. Miss Reyes reads, "All for 100 hours documented." Senior support staff submitted letters describing defendant as reliable, patient, and unexpectedly gentle. Mr. Rosario submitted a statement. Officer Harris submitted a statement. Ward and Kline Financial instituted a $2 million pedestrian safety fund, administered in partnership with the city. Documentary adopted in the Rhode Island driver responsibility curriculum. Caprio nods. "Read Mr. Rosario's statement," he says. Miss Reyes reads, "Your Honor, last year I was nearly hit by a car driven by a young woman who didn't see me as anything more than an obstacle. Today, she walks beside me. She carries bags I can no longer carry. She listens to stories no one else has time for. She still walks too fast sometimes, but now she turns around and waits. She apologized like a person, not a brand. I forgive her, and I believe she can teach other young drivers to see us before it's too late." Sabrina wipes her cheek. "Officer Harris?" Caprio asks. The officer stands from the gallery, holding a piece of paper. "I wrote this, Your Honor," he says. "When I stopped Miss Kline, she laughed at me and tried to hand me cash. I saw someone who thought a badge was an inconvenience and a life was a detail. A year later, I watched her present her documentary to a room full of high school students. She didn't blame anyone. She didn't minimize what she did. She said, 'I tried to buy my way out. The judge gave me something more expensive, the truth. I respect that.'" He sits. Caprio turns back to Sabrina. "Miss Kline, summarize what you learned." She takes a breath. "I learned," she says, "that being in a hurry doesn't make my life more valuable. That my father's money can pay for crosswalk lights but not for conscience. I learned that privilege is real but it's supposed to be used to protect people, not endanger them. I learned that Mr. Rosario doesn't block traffic. He is traffic. So am I, so are you. We're all just trying to get home." She swallows. "And I learned that you didn't threaten me with 10 years to scare me, Your Honor. You did it to show me how close I was to losing everything and learning nothing." The room is still. Caprio signs the final form. "Miss Kline," he says, "you've completed your sentence with integrity. I will not impose prison time. The formal charges are closed. The record will show conviction with full compliance and exemplary transformation. Her eyes brim with tears. Thank you, Your Honor, she whispers. Don't thank me, Caprio says. Thank Mr. Rosario. Thank Officer Harris. Thank every slow step you had to match. They taught you what this court only pointed to. 5 years after the near miss at the crosswalk, Providence hosts a pedestrian safety and senior mobility summit. On the main stage, a familiar short film plays. Slow down, lives are walking. Over 300 driver education instructors from across New England watch. The keynote speaker is introduced. Please welcome the director of the Ward and Kline Senior Mobility Fund, Ms. Sabrina Kline. She steps onto the stage. 5 years ago, she begins, I almost traded a man's life for a hair appointment. I thought I was the main character and everyone else was scenery. A judge gave me a choice, 10 years in prison, or however long it took to grow up. She shows a slide of the crosswalk from above. This, she says, pointing, is where arrogance met reality. And this, she clicks to a photo of her and Mr. Rosario smiling outside a new senior shuttle van with the fund's logo, is what happens when justice isn't just punishment, but a plan. In Providence, crossing times at key intersections have been lengthened by several seconds. New audible signals installed. Volunteer escort programs created. Senior fall injuries in crosswalks dropped by 28% in 3 years. One local paper runs the headline, From Near Miss to New Mission, Spoiled Heir Turns into Senior Advocate, 10 years after the hearing. Law schools across the country study. State v. Kline as a model of restorative justice. Slideshow. The original charges. The body cam transcript. The forged letter. The community service logs. The documentary's impact stats. Guest lecturer, retired Judge Frank Caprio. Now in his late 80s, he tells the students, I was never impressed by who people's parents were. I was interested in who they could become. Someone asked, Judge, why didn't you send her to prison? With all that evidence, you easily could have. Caprio smiles faintly. I could have, he says. And in some cases, I would have. But the law doesn't just give us tools for punishment. It gives us tools for repair. I saw a chance to turn a near tragedy into something that might prevent 100 more. He pauses. She laughed at me when she walked in. When she came back a year later, she cried for a man she almost knocked off his feet. I'll take that transformation over 10 years of bitterness in a cell. Back in Providence, at the same intersection on Westminster and Union, the crosswalk signal beeps. An elderly woman steps off the curb. A car slows to a complete stop. The driver is in her early 30s now. Her name is still Sabrina Kline. She waits patiently until the woman reaches the other side. Mr. Rosario, now in his 80s, watches from the bench and smiles. She used to race the light, he says softly. Now she races to help. On his home office wall, Judge Caprio keeps a small handwritten card from years ago. It reads, Privilege is not permission. Slow down. Lives are walking. If you believe that real justice doesn't just punish people, it changes them. Hit subscribe, drop a comment, and share this story so more people see what accountability with mercy can do.